I forgot my cord, so we're going to do this.
Here, right here.
Oh, can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay, come on in, team. Here they come. Here they come. Good job. Okay, I need everybody clapping. Come on. Come on. This is a rally. Here we go. Everybody, vote. Blue. Vote. Blue. Vote. Blue. Show me what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Vote blue. Vote blue. Vote blue. Let's bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down. Okay. It's that same enthusiasm. I want to shout to call out all the people who have worked hard to get our voters out. So I want to acknowledge all of our Kathy. Let me think. I remember Kathy. Oh, I'm having a hard time. Look for it. Holly, right? Randy and Mike. You guys, Eloise. You guys, really the neighborhood people. You guys got people out and worked hard. Good job. If you went to a meeting and packed literature or you dropped it off at people's doors, let's give you guys a real big round of applause. How about the field team that's been working hard since the day after Donald Trump got elected? How about the fundraising team that helped pay the bill for all that literature? Very good. And last, I want to call out the quarterback of our football team, our All-American pitcher, whatever the hell you call that person in soccer, I don't know soccer, Janet Henry, our Madam President. So thank you very much. Okay, get out the vote, everybody, and thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. You guys, you may keep your pom-poms if you would like them. Little girls love them, but the little boys too. If you want your flags, you can keep them. If you don't want them, I'll have big bags at each door. You can drop them in there. We'll use them again. Thank you guys very much. Hang on. That was the Ohio State band cadence, and I'm not a Ohio State fan, but I like their cadence. Thanks, Fran.
Okay, let's hear it for Laura and the team for getting us all excited here. Woo-hoo! Okay, so look at your agenda, please, because we want to quickly get to Katrina Foley. But before that, we have to get the meeting started and do all of those things. So I would like to, first of all, we need to bring it down for just a minute. And then we'll bring it back up. Folks in the back, may I have your attention? Folks, because I think it's really important that in the midst of all of our excitement, that we do take a minute to recognize the horrific event that happened yesterday at the mosque in San Diego. And we'll have a minute of silence for that horrific event, and then all of the horrific events that keep happening in our public spaces, and that we can only hope that we can start turning these things around. So let's have just a minute to really think about that and think why we are here. We are here to work on things like that. Thank you. Now, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And do we have, how many guests do we have with us tonight? Any guests? Oh, excellent, excellent. And hopefully, after you are here tonight, you will become a member. So please see one of us about doing that. And do we have any electeds in the house other than Katrina Foley that's going to be speaking in a minute? Not tonight. Okay, so public announcement, as you all know, you're going to be in video somewhere or pictures out there in the social world, and we need to make sure that we are kind and we act appropriately during the meeting. So where is Walt? Walt, are you here tonight? Okay. Walt, can you please lead us in the pledge, even though I asked for a flag? Oh, I do see it. Okay, good. It is here. All right. Is Walt here? No. Okay, so Katrina, would you like to do the honors for us, please?
Please stand if you're able and join me in saluting the flag that I think is representative of our social values of equality and justice and liberty and innovation and opportunity. Please say with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, consent calendar. Let's take a look at this, and I would like a motion in just a minute to approve the agenda. We've got a lot in the quorum here, and the meetings from the last general meeting, which Janice, our secretary, always has those, and the board has, treasurer's report before I get to the other money. Currently, in our balance, we have 56,000, a little bit over, thanks to all of the work of everybody in here. Then the balance now is a little over 60. We had deposits last month of close to 8,000, and we had expenses of 3,700-ish. So we're looking very good. We're doing the long game, though. We have this election, and then we have the one in November. So the board is recommending that we contribute $2,000 to Becky Keene, who spoke to us last meeting. Yay! $2,000 to Amy Stevens, who spoke to us last meeting. Way to go. And $2,000 to Laura Lacko, who also spoke to us, and we approved her as well. And then lastly, another $2,000 to JJ, whom we have already given $1,000, so we'll give more. So who made the motion to accept the consent calendar? Okay, Louise, and Stacy seconds it. Okay, Louise made the motion, Stacy seconded it. So that is it, and now I'm going to turn the meeting over to Judy for our candidate and a couple of announcements about candidates.
Thank you for that wonderful welcome. I really appreciate it. Just kidding. This has been an incredibly crazy primary season, and the club has been extremely busy, canvassing, phone banking, going to rallies. And if you haven't been involved in that, we need your presence, please. We have 2 weeks left until the primary, and then we're also going to need you going into the general election. It's been a busy time for me, and I was thinking about being busy. When you're retired, sometimes it's good to be busy. And I recalled an old adage or maxim that said, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person. And when I thought about that, one particular person came to my mind, and that person was Katrina Foley. And I looked at her website, folks, just out of curiosity, and her list of accomplishments are phenomenal. She has something like 10 different categories. And then under those categories, she has a list of a zillion things she's done under each of those categories. And she is the supervisor for the county District 5. Those of you who live in Laguna Hills are lucky to have her. We are really lucky to have her speak tonight because she has an incredible schedule. I'm not going to go over everything that Katrina has done because I'm going to let her do that, but I don't know if you know that much about Katrina, but from homelessness to coastal protection to protecting the taxpayer, her interests are varied, and she gets things done. So I am honored to have her speak to us tonight, especially when we consider what her schedule looks like. So Katrina Foley, thank you so much for being with us.
Okay, good evening. So do I use this microphone or this one? Does it matter? No, okay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Katrina Foley, and I am privileged to be able to represent what I like to call the fabulous 5th District. And yes, cheer for that. And I loved getting the endorphins flowing tonight before we began because, you know, once a cheerleader, always a cheerleader. It was so fun. But the district covers Costa Mesa, where I live, all the way down to San Clemente. It picks up all the lagunas. It picks up Ladera Ranch, Coto de Caza, where Gary lives. It picks up Rancho Mission Viejo, Las Flores, Stonehill, and Wagon Wheel, Aliso, Laguna Beach, a portion of Irvine, which is south of the 405, all of Newport Beach, and all of Costa Mesa. 14 communities strong. So, and I'll tell you a quick story for those who might not know. The Republicans on the county board got to pick the geographic boundaries for the districts in 2021, 2022 time period. So they decided that they were going to carve out a district that they thought I could not win in re-election. So I was on the board in 21. I got elected on the special election when Congress, when Michelle Steele elevated to Congress and that seat opened up. At that time, I was the city's first directly elected mayor for Costa Mesa. I had served as city council member and school board member for Newport Mesa. And in 2022, the district that they created was a Republican plus 7-point district. And they thought they were so clever that they're going to carve out this South County district. I don't know anyone in South County. No way I could possibly win. I'm here. So not only did we win in 2022, but the district has gotten a little bluer. We're now only Republican plus 5 points. But, and so they have decided that this election, and I'll talk about the campaign, then I want to talk about some of the work, because really I love the work, but you got to get through the campaign to be able to get back to the work. But they have decided, the Orange County GOP has decided in this election that I am the target. I'm the main target for all of their efforts. And boy, they are hitting me hard. So how many of you are getting the hate mail? Anybody who lives in the district? Okay, so you're getting it, right? So one of the hate pieces this week, I thought, oh, I love that picture. It's a nice picture of me with President Biden. And I thought, oh, I always liked that picture. But anyway, they're really desperate because they think this is their seat. And they do not want the county board to be a Democrat majority. And so they are trying so hard to defeat me in this election. And we're, on the other hand, trying so hard to win it one and done in June, 50% plus 1 vote, and then we're done, and we can move on. So just my plea to you, before I get into talking about some of the work, is to turn in your ballot, tell your friends, text 10 friends that live in the district, ask them to vote, and we need every single vote. The Republicans are outvoting us right now by 2-1. So we need every single vote, and we need to get 60,000 no party preference votes as well. So we are phone banking, we are knocking on doors. I mean, I knocked on doors in San Clemente, San Juan, and Rancho Mission Viejo and Irvine this weekend. So we are doing everything we can. If you need a sign, talk to Drake. Drake is the sign guy, he's the field coordinator. If you want to help volunteer, talk to Drake. If you can spare another $1, donate at katrinafoley.com, because we still have a little bit more to raise to be able to respond to some of these negative hit pieces. And they have decided, even at the board meeting today, that they're gonna just start attacking me blatantly on the dais. So, you know, we're not gonna take it sitting down, and I got a little fire in me, and I will push back. So why? Why is it important? Because our office initiated the Climate Action Plan for Orange County. We are working to have Orange County be a healthier, greener, cleaner community, one that is more sustainable into the future, one that protects our coast. And if we lose this seat, we have a person on the other side who is absolutely F record on the environment. She is not going to carry on the work that we have started, the good work that the county desperately needed for a long time. We've made massive investments in our sand replenishment because, you know, the South County beaches were eroding for years and nobody was doing anything about it. We now have a plan for regular maintenance and replenishment. And why does this matter? Today at the board meeting, I found myself conflicted because I'm sitting there speaking, and there are people who are UDW in-home health supportive service workers in the audience, and they are very desperately trying to get us to increase their wage, which I support, but I don't have the votes right now. And I felt myself not wanting to share about the work we're doing on sand because it seemed trite. However, without the sand and the beaches, we don't have the strong coastal economy that we need to be able to invest in in-home health supportive services. We don't have the strong economy that we need to be able to help with rental assistance, to continue our trek forward to reduce homelessness. The 5th district led the way in homelessness reduction, 32% down in this cycle. We need to support the businesses, we need to support our coastal economy so that we have the funds to be able to continue to invest in our system of care, reducing homelessness, making sure we have permanent supportive housing for people, addiction treatment that is real, that is meaningful, is not just a profiteering organization that is profiting off people's pain. We need to make sure that we have the economics to be able to serve the community well. And so that's what I'm fighting for. Are you with me? Okay. Today at the board meeting, another thing I'm fighting for is our seniors. Today at the board meeting, the board vote, Sarmiento was absent today because he had a family matter, but the board vote was 2-2, myself and the chairman against Wagner and Wynn, and they voted against our Age Well and our Meals on Wheels program. They voted against it. And we sent out a press release. You could go to my county website, you could see it. But it's outrageous. So the chairman is going to bring this item back in June so that we can have a third vote when Supervisor Sarmiento returns. But this is what we're up against. Seniors getting food, seniors having transportation to go to medical appointments and to visit with, anyone. I mean, these are critical necessities that we have funding from the federal and state government to implement at the county level. And people are playing politics with people's lives. And we cannot stand for that. We must win. Corruption. Let's talk about that. Okay. I saw a mailer. They're trying to say people are giving me jets. I wish I had a jet these days. No jets around me. But we have real corruption, not just made up fake news that is going out in fake mailers by the Lincoln Club, but real corruption was happening at the county. And it was going on for years, more than a decade. And not just by Andrew Doe, by others. And we have initiated, my office, I authored the ethics reforms that we put forward in September of 2024, where we are now doing a lot more to move procurement away from individual board offices, away from individuals, and more towards a central procurement system. Better checks and balances, a buffer between the supervisors and the decision makers on contracts. We've even done something that I can't even believe. As a lawyer, I can't believe we didn't have this in place already. If you were a nonprofit before these reforms, and let's say you started your nonprofit that month, and you didn't have any documentation to prove that you were actually a nonprofit, well, we still give you money. And so Andrew Doe was able to create a fake nonprofit that he hired his daughter to work for at 22 years old, making a 6-figure salary. And then they funneled money through this fake nonprofit. And then he stole $10 million of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars. And he used it to buy his daughter a house. And he used it to buy himself a business property. And his conspirators, they bought 2 properties as well. He paid his credit cards off. Wouldn't you like your credit cards paid? He paid off his property taxes. How about that? All with your money. And he had started this not during the pandemic. He started to lay the groundwork for this type of corruption like in 2018, 2019, hosting these festivals in his district in Little Saigon where people would have to pay a business and then his business partners would get a cut of the business. It's all now come to light because we demanded, Sarmiento and I, a forensic accounting. And we've done a forensic accounting of all this. So this is the kind of work that we're doing. A lot of good old boy contracts had been put into place. Maybe not technically illegal, but nobody else could get in. They couldn't get in to the bidding. They couldn't, as a local business here in Orange County, they couldn't participate in the process. We've fixed that. We have new bidding requirements, new procurement requirements, and it's a lot more fair for everyone. So this is the work that we're doing. And let me just talk about women's issues and reproductive health issues. How many of us cared when Prop 1 was passed to make reproductive health a constitutional right for women? When I first got to the board, Planned Parenthood alerted me to the fact that because of John Morlock, there was a resolution preventing Planned Parenthood from contracting with the county for reproductive health services, for wellness services, for mammograms, for anything. And so we undid that effort, that resolution, and we now are able to contract with Planned Parenthood. This is really critical at this time because as people are losing their health insurance, their premiums are going up because of the big ugly bill, we are now in a position that we're going to have to provide indigent care. And I want to make sure that everyone has access to that community care, especially well women exams, breast exams, things that we take for granted, some of us who do this every year and use our insurance, and it's no big deal. But not everybody is in that place. Orange County has 1 million people that are on Cal Optima, that are eligible for benefits because they make, well, for an individual, it's $18,801, okay? 3.2 million people live here. We all think we're in this place where everyone's kind of well off. Well, let me tell you, not everyone is well off who lives here. It's a hard place to live if you're not well off, and it's our job as the county to take care of people, provide them work opportunities, provide them with opportunities for apprenticeships with our labor unions and our trades and the culinary arts, provide them with a social service safety net. And it's part of who I am, it's core to who I am to do this work. I started as a child in a very, very impoverished family. I was a Head Start graduate. I went to school on the free lunch program, and my mom, you know, did everything she could to make sure that we didn't know we were poor. I was a cheerleader. Yay for the cheerleaders. I was a dancer. She cleaned the bathroom so that I could take dance lessons. She was in line at the Rotary and wherever to get the meal box during the holidays. And then I went to UCLA on a Pell Grant. Yay, go Bruins. And so to me, when you invest in the most vulnerable in our community, especially children, you are giving them the opportunity to meet their potential and to give back to their community later. And I think I've given back a lot. So it was an investment, a great return on the investment. That rice pudding I had every morning for breakfast, good deal. So we are at a critical point in the election. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake. And I think that county supervisor sort of gets lost because we have so much crazy going on at the national level. But all the crazy that's going on at the national level, it feeds directly into the county. At the national level, we are seeing huge cuts to our systems of care. We are sitting on a situation where our social services agency tells me that we have about 20 people right now that are on what we call the Welfare and Institutions Code's indigent care program. That means that they don't have any insurance, they have no way to pay for their health care. And we have an absolute duty as a county to pay for, if they go to the emergency room or they have to get treatment, we pay for that. We have 20 people. Before Obamacare, there were hundreds of thousands of people on that indigent care plan. What they're projecting, because of all of the cuts that are happening at the federal government, they're projecting us to get to about 250,000 people on the indigent care program. We don't even have a plan. So that's something that we have to work on. But you have to have people that care about it. You have to have people that want to provide services. And this county has been controlled by a board of supervisors for decades that actually does not believe in government. They don't believe in government. So they're just passive about everything, and they aren't like sort of proactively working to bring services to the community. We've changed that. We have a lot more to do, and I hope I can count on you, and I want to take some questions. So I'm going to stop talking for a few minutes, and I'm going to take questions. Yes, Ted?
Where does the board stand on any reforms or improvements to mass transit?
Oh, okay. So we all sit on the Orange County Transportation Authority. And I can tell you, we have at least one colleague, Supervisor Wagner, who votes no on every single streetcar item, every single rail item. He's a no. Janet usually abstains, because that's what she does. She abstains, which is a no. And then it's really just Supervisor Sarmiento, myself, and the chairman who care about rail. So mass transit, I don't see that happening in my lifetime because we don't have the infrastructure built yet. But we'll keep chipping away at it. Any other questions? Nobody has one question? You're all just, you're all in? Yay.
Yeah, there's one question here.
Okay.
It's my understanding that Wagner is running for a higher office. So what's the implication for the board?
There's no implication. It's a pass for him because he terms out in 2028. And yeah, he terms out in 2028. So he doesn't, if he loses this election, which he likely will, he's not, he's still on the board.
Okay, one more question here. Kathy.
It's not really a question, but I wanted to thank you for stopping the spraying
Oh, yes.
of whatever they are
Yeah.
in our creeks and waterways in Orange County. Really grateful to you for that. So
Thank
you.
Okay, so I thank you for bringing that up. So when I was a school board member, you know, my kids were little, and I learned that they were spraying on the playgrounds. And so we started talking, the PTA people, everyone were like, what, wait. And so, you know, we encouraged them to not have spraying on the playgrounds. When I was on the city council and I was the mayor, I worked with a group to create an integrated pest management, which is your weed abatement program, that would prioritize organic alternatives. We even did a pilot project on a baseball field to prove that you could use non-toxic organics to manage the fields. I got us a grant from Stony Brook Farms, and we did it. And that protocol and procedure and program is still in place in Costa Mesa. When I got to the board, I learned that they were spraying these herbicides and pesticides, and I kept bringing it up. But again, it takes 3 votes to change a whole system. So What did I do? I just started utilizing our agricultural commissioner. I learned that he's the person that if you think that there's somebody misapplying things, that you make a complaint to him and then he investigates. So he started investigating several different incidents, and people were found, the contractors were found to be violating even the application process that was allowed. And then we got them to agree not to use Roundup, glyphosate, in the flood channels in the 5th district. Well, then fast forward to recently, we have a whole group of residents that are coming out and are really upset, and they don't want us using herbicides in the waterways. We have a town hall. The Public Works agrees not to use herbicides in the waterways in District 5, San Juan, and Trabuco, and we're going to work on a pilot project for alternative methods. And I formed this non-toxic committee to help us to come up with best practices, because at this point in time, we should know that Roundup, herbicides, it's bad for us. It's cancer causing. It's not good. It's not healthy. And only when it is absolutely necessary for like fire prevention, or maybe if a tree is diseased, with a very targeted application, should we be using this stuff. We should avoid it at all costs. But the county public works contractors were like out there spraying away. And so wouldn't you know it, how shocked I was when I got the mailer from the Lincoln Club saying that I am supporting pesticides. That's insanity. And so they've tried to turn the issue upside down. Today at the board meeting, Janet and Dawn doubled down, and we made an announcement that the Public Works is no longer spraying across Orange County. How many of you saw that? Okay, a couple. So it was in the newspaper, and they today have decided that I didn't have authority to work on that. I don't have authority to talk to Public Works. I don't have authority to have a pilot project. Dawn even said, you have so many pilot projects coming out of your district. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, we're just trying to do the work. And so now their position is that I don't have authority to stop the spraying of pesticides in our waterways. Well, I'm going to disagree with them on that. So I'm going to keep working on the issue, and we're going to come up with a better way. Thank you. All right. Thank you all. The June 2nd election, if you live in the district, please vote. Please tell 10 friends to vote. We need to have a gigantic wave of support. It should be no question, 50% plus one ballot. We should be 55%, so that we know we have a mandate going forward for the next 4 years. So thank you all. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for your fight for democracy. Okay. Oh, okay. All right, let me set this down.
Go down there. All right. Everyone, big smiles. Awesome. Okay, and then really quickly on the count of 3, we have a tradition every time we come out to these wonderful clubs and service democracy. On the count of 3, I'd like you guys to all say fully forced, and then cheer as loud as you can. Does that sound okay? Yes. Okay, we're gonna do a quick video. You ready? All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Fully forced! Thank you, everybody.
And by the way, your next speaker is amazing. We do a lot of work with him.
Okay, I need to finish my report here on the agenda. We have some awesome speakers coming up, and I wanted you to know that Dave Min will be attending our August 18th meeting, barring any unforeseen whatever that goes on in Washington, D.C. And Catherine Blakespear, who is our senator, is scheduled to come and speak in September. We don't have any candidates for June. I think a lot of people are waiting to see what's going to happen with the primary, but we're hoping to have school board candidates and perhaps some other local candidates speak in July. So thank you very much.
Okay, Louise is up next for our field team. Do we always see where it is? Can't have that happen.
Well, that's one way to shut me up. Okay, so we're going to talk about what we've already been doing, but I want to first start by saying, you know, you all been working really hard. Now we need to double down for the fall. So during the summer, we're going to be writing postcards. Sarah, raise your hand over there. Okay. There are cards in my garage, 10,000 cards. So I hope you really start writing, and that way I can open my car door. Okay, we are also going to be talking in the field team, and I hope with input from other people on our board, about what kind of flyers we want for the fall. I think we are very happy with the flyer we had, except for Eric Swalwell, count him. And we really like what's on the back, which was highlighting what's going on in each of our cities. So think about that, and if you have input to give us, please get in touch with me. We're going to be recruiting and training canvassers for the fall. I think there's a fairly good chance that we're going to be starting to knock on doors and talk to people. We're also going to be working on voter registration, so we have the July 4th Mission Viejo Street Fair that Barbara Casilla will need volunteers for. And also, we need to start holding those neighborhood coffee hours and get-togethers. So we have people on the field team, the Grahams, who are going to help with that. So looking forward, we have a lot of work to do. We've been doing some work, and I can't see what's up on the screen. Okay, so we have the one, there we go, keep going. One more. Nope, one more. Well, you know what, I can do it from up here, but. Okay, I got some latest numbers. We need to go back one, Janet. There we go. Okay, but I have the latest numbers from Jenny Ellsworth, the queen of all of our numbers and data. We have dropped a literature to 21,490 voters as of tonight. About 90 people have participated in that process, and we have walked 377 precincts or turfs, okay? And on the left side of the screen, you can see all the areas that we've walked and how many of we've walked, but those numbers are out of date. I gave you the latest ones right now. And we have a list here on the screen of the people who've gone to more than 500 doors. So would you please stand if you're on this list? Woo, woo, woo. Definitely totally cool people, I'm telling you. I don't know how they do it. Okay, Janet, can we go to the next screen? The next thing we are doing, and we're in process on it now, is setting up the election protection program. We have 30 volunteers assigned to vote centers, so that we'll be there in case of any problems to be able to report it up to the state party. Okay, so if we need help with attorneys or any problem like that, they'll show up. We are going to be there to observe and report. You don't get into arguments. This program is being coordinated by Barbara Casillo. And if you are signed up to do one of these voter protection activities, we have your kit ready in the back at the white, where the white balloon is. Everybody who's working there gets a little blue visor and their directions and name tags. And so a few people who said they would do it discovered that a grandbaby's having their tonsils out or whatever, and so they can't. So if you're still interested, you can get in touch with Barbara Casillo. Okay, so I was very proud of our club because we are the only club in the entire state that the state party has given us the right to make our own assignments for voter protection and pointed us out as good folks in a statewide Zoom call last night. So I, was very proud of us. And all of that is only possible because of all the fabulous people that are on the field team planning committee, who are just the hardest working group of people I have ever known. So thank you very much.
Okay. So we finish up with a few more things, and then we will have our second very, very important speaker here. Yes? I'm sorry? I'm going to get it. Here we go. Okay, you can hear me now, right? All right, excellent. So let's see where we are. I have a very short report, and that is about Flag Day. And all of you are invited, and this is a DPOC event. We don't have many of them down here in the South County, and this time it's going to be at the Arroyo Trabuco Golf Club, so it's very accessible to us. And we are going to have some very interesting speaker. Once again, Katrina Foley will be there. How many of you are getting more and more hooked into Robert Garcia? Anybody? Yes, up and coming, and he's going to be there. And his, we all get kind of bailiwick things that are, we're not going to stop, and he's not going to stop on the Epstein files. So yes, so he will talk to us about that, absolutely. And then also Tom Umberg. So it's going to be quite a cast. There will be some munchies, some things like that. So please either see me or look at your newsletter. This is why our newsletters can be so wonderful. And just hit the link and away you go. All right, membership, we're doing well. We have a total as of the end of last month of 528 paid members. We got another 82 in March. We still need 360 to come on back, and they will. And that will give us another $10,800 at least, getting us ready for the next campaign in November, correct? And then Heather and Cindy, where are they, Heather, back there? Cindy, have been very good about, they've done a texting program, and that always takes a lot of technology to do that, and they have done that. And Ann Owens has organized our next outreach, and that's going to be Wise Place. So if you look on your agenda, you will see the things that they need. They're dedicated to ending homelessness for women in the OC, housing, counseling, mental health, and therefore they need some full-size shampoos and conditioners, some body wash, deodorant, lotion. And now on to the Young Dems. This group is getting more and more active, and it's just so wonderful for us to be able to expand, right, the age of the people that are doing the work here. So we have Brittany Gale, who is heading that up, and she and her crew have a phone bank for JJ. I don't know if JJ is still here. There he is in the back, and they did a great job doing the phone banking. They organized all that themselves. They have a happy hour coming up later in the week, so please share that with folks that would like to meet some like-minded younger folks. And there's the information for community newsletter. And then Marty, did you have anything to say, or do you want me just to fill folks in on the sustaining members? Okay, well, come on up. You're next, okay? So sustaining members, as of April alone, they made $1,830, and many of you right here are the reasons for that. And then now we're going to do the raffle for tonight's events. So get out your tickets. And then we'll move on, and Ted will tell you about the upcoming speakers, and then we will have our illustrious Dr. John Gould from UCI.
First of all, I want to thank all the sustaining members. How many of you were able to come to our event at the Amelia's? Are you wearing your buttons that say, "I sustain democracy"? We all got buttons. We were so lucky. We had a great time. Anyway, be a sustainer and you'll get invited next time. Oh, next meeting we'll bring some extra buttons just because we love everybody. Okay.
Okay, let's do the opportunity first.
Okay, opportunity is for the gigantic basket full of patriotic stuff because we're Americans and we're Democrats and we're proud. The winning number is 28480-385. Anybody? There we go, all right.
And I would just like to go on record as saying, if you'd like to have a party and invite the fundraising team, we would love to have them come. Pick it up, go and pick it up over there.
Yeah, you can pick it up over there. We're not going to bring it up here, so that you have to come here and bring it back up. Okay, now, those of you who got into the spirit, thank you, and wore a t-shirt, we gave you a red ticket for free, and we're going to draw 2 times, right? This is gift cards for dinner at P.F. Chang's. All right, first lucky winner is upside down.
Oh.
806001. Yay! Okay, we'll get you back there. Second one is 806232.
Oh.
Got close. Okay, we are done. Yep. Thank you all. Be a sustainer. Don't walk away with it.
I'll stand down here if you don't mind. Good evening, fellow Democrats. I have some not so great news and much better news. The not so great news is that Republicans are outvoting us now by a 3% margin here in the county. The total is 7% versus 4%. So not that many ballots are in as per OC vote, but we can get off our butts and do what? To make, exactly. And I think we will. I don't see a 2 Republican race, but I'm going to get on to the better news. And that better news is the topic that Dr. Gould will speak to us about tonight, still purple. And we are turning this county blue. We voted blue since 2016. We are no longer the place where Democrats go to die and Republicans go to die and Republicans go to live, but we are now the place where Republicans die and we are in ascendancy. That said, I want to introduce Dr. Jonathan Gould, Dean of Social Ecology at UCI. He's really a Renaissance man. He's written on so many topics, ranging from voter behavior to ecology to trends in Orange County. He's a man of great learning, BA from Michigan, master's from Harvard, doctorate from the University of Chicago, 3 of America's premier learning institutions, So this is a man very much worth listening to. So if you will come forward, Dr. Gould, we are ready.
All right, can you hear me on this mic? Great, okay, I have this mic. So thank you very much for having me here today, or tonight. Wonderful to see so many people engaged in the political process. And I've been invited to come talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the county, how things have moved politically, where things stand right now. I'm largely going to have good news for this audience, if that doesn't keep going in and out. But I want to let you know there are some things that should give you pause. So let's start with what apparently the PowerPoint wants to do. You're not touching the screen, are you? No. Okay. Well, let's see if it's going to advance itself. Sorry, it's not. So we're going to start with the quiz. Who is this guy? Bush. Who got it? Who just yelled down the back? You, in all the time, but who are you? I've done this presentation many times. You are the only person who's got it. So, we're going to do a little investigation. How did you know? That is John Burke. She looked it up in the library. It's one of those things our taxes go for, and students don't know what they are. All right, so this is John Burke. In the 1960s, actually, one of the nice things, speaking to a group like this, I don't have to explain to you who John Burke is. If I say it to my students, they're like, huh? All right, in the 1960s, how many branches of the John Burke Society were there here in Orange County? Too many. All right, that's not a number. Want to guess? What? 14. What was it? Pardon me? One. There were 38 branches of the John Burke Society. So the quote that Ted gave you before, it was actually a quote from Ronald Reagan. He said, Orange County was a place where good Republicans went to die. And what he meant is, this is where Republicans went to and they resided. Well, today, Orange County really is a purple county. And when I say it's a purple county, so this is our new slogan, by the way. Orange is purple. That's the thing. Actually, I'm even dating myself. And that's what orange is the new black, if you remember that. But this is our new tagline. Orange is the new purple, because we are purple in two respects. Number one, we tend as a county to go back and forth, Democrat, Republican at the top of the ticket, depending on whether it's a presidential year or not. So Ted was right. 2016, we started going blue, and then we go back and forth a little bit. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we are, oh, come on, go back. There we go. We are essentially a third Democrat, Republican, Independent. So what you're looking at here is the hatched numbers are the numbers from 2024. The red, these solid numbers are from 2026. So there's been a slight change, a little bit more towards the Democratic side over the last 2 years in the county, but we're essentially a third. Red, Republican, blue, Democrat. The gray is independent. Slightly more independents than Democrats, slightly more Democrats than Republicans. And I should say this comes from our polling, this does not come from the county. And I will answer a question quickly now that someone's going to inevitably ask me later, which is why should we trust polling? Because you probably don't pick up the phone when you see a pollster calling, or if someone texts you, you just put your phone away. And so, in fact, it is much harder to do polling today than it was 5, 10, 20 years ago. We use 3 different methods to poll. So number one, we still do the phone calling. But number 2, we do something that's called text to web. That is when you get the text saying, hey, we're conducting a poll fill in the blank, will you participate? Many people refuse to do it. When it comes from a university, more people are willing to answer it. The third thing we do is we use what's called a panel. And you're going to say, this sounds a little crazy, but actually every single large company in America that does polling does it this way, which is they go out and they recruit a group of people who are willing to give their opinions on any number of issues over a matter of time. So think of it, if you've ever been called to be a grand juror, it's not that different. Here's a group of people who've agreed to do something for a certain amount of time. So for 2 weeks, they will just answer question after question after question. Do you prefer Bounty to Charmin? Do you prefer Bush to, boy, I'm going to debate myself. Hate myself, to Kerry. Well, those are the kinds of things that they'll get asked. And we use all three. So when you're seeing the numbers I'm giving you here, our accuracy is about plus or minus 3%. That is better than almost every national poll you'll see. But again, we are purple. Third, a third, a third. But it's not quite that simple. The next slide I'm going to show you is going to be the most complicated slide you will see all night. It violates every single rule of a presentation. All right, I'm going to walk you through this slowly. There are 3 things I'm going to want you to take away from it. All right, so what you're looking at is 4 different bundles. On your far left, that's all this. All right, we'll do this and we'll have a little action. This is all residents of Orange County answering. These are white residents, these are Latino residents, these are Asian residents. And what we're showing you here is that it is not simply Republican, everyone's Republican, Democrat, everyone's the same kind of Democrat, or independent. There are shades of them. So the darker the blue, the more strongly attached someone is to the Democratic Party. The brighter red someone is, the more strongly attached they are to the Republican Party. So what you'll see here, the first thing, actually there'll be 4 things to take away. First thing you'll take away is when someone says they're a Democrat or Republican, they're typically more strongly Democrat or more strongly Republican. But the other thing here, and this is the thing where this is an important thing to understand about your county, is when we ask someone, are you independent? We'll say, actually, the question will go, are you a Democrat, Republican, or independent? And someone will say, I'm an independent. Well, not every independent is the same. Because the argument is that independent becomes a hiding place for people who are really partisan but don't want to admit it. And so what we'll ask people is, do you typically vote Republican? Do you typically vote Democratic? And we'll give them a bunch of races that they may have voted in the past to figure that out. And what we're trying to do is to smoke them out and see, are you truly independent or not? So right here, this column, and this column. So this is a 13%, 16%, 7%. Are people who on first blush say, I'm independent. But actually, that's not entirely the way to understand it. So across the entire electorate here, whereas 36% will tell you they're independent, really 13% are leaning left, 7% are leaning right, and 16%, only 16% are true independents. Now, what's also interesting, and you will be excited about, is there's a lot of talk in this county that independents are really Bush Republicans who are dissatisfied with the way the party has gone today. That's not really true, because among the independents, those who lean left are twice as big as those who are leaning right. Independents are skewing left. They are not skewing right in Orange County. So that should give Democrats some hope that, or greater hope, that even though it's a third, one of those thirds, in fact the largest group, the independents, skews a little bit left, or adds the second point to take away. Third point to take away is whites are on an island by themselves in Orange County. Because look at how much redder they are, how much more Republican they are. That's this group here, much more Republican than anything else. Latinos and Asians are essentially split between Democrats and independents, about half and half. So that's another thing to take away. But the other big thing to take away is after the 2024 election, what was the story about what was happening with Latino voters in America? They were voting Republican. Okay, and indeed they were voting Republican more than they had before. But here in Orange County, the thing to understand about them is when you ask them to self-identify, they are not largely self-identifying as Republican. So that is 20% of Latino residents or Latino registered voters in Orange County who are saying they identify as Republican. They are not identifying as Republican. However, whereas in before, many more of them would have said they are Democrats, you are down to the point where only 38% of them are identifying as Democrats. So they are not moving right, they're moving to unaffiliated, which means they are the largest group that is up for grabs right now, not only in Orange County, but across America. And that is both an opportunity for both parties, but it's also a risk for Democrats, because this used to be a much more loyal demographic to Democrats. But this is kind of a lot of what I'm going to say to you tonight is glass half full, glass half empty, depending on your perspective. Because the half full for you all is they're not saying they're Republicans. The half empty is they are not saying at the same level as they used to that they are Democrats. On the other hand, I guess we'll have to have 5 points. Asian American voters in Orange County are looking more Democratic than they used to do. Now, they're split mainly between Democrats, that's 38% of Democrats, and 31% independent, no, I'm sorry, 37% independent. That is that's a larger shift towards the left. So that is also something that's going on. And we're going to be following what's happening on the primary and the general election. These are the voter groups we're paying attention to. This group, white voters, must be a white voter right now. Who wants to participate in the poll? They're not going anywhere. They have been like this for a long time in Orange County. They're kind of staying there. And you all are kind of the exception here. You're in this group here. All right. So that's the big complicated slide. There we go. All right. Let's understand something else about this county that's really, really interesting and is different than the rest of the population. A lot of our fellow residents were raised by parents who were immigrants. So what you're looking at here is that the orange colors here are people who say both of their parents were born in another country. Both parents. So that's 39% of Orange County where both parents were born abroad. And look at the huge age differences here. So as we get way over here, the cut point in this county is between 45 and 46-year-olds. So if you're 46 or older, you are much more likely to have native-born parents. If you're under 45, you are much more likely to have at least a parent or both parents born abroad. Look at the differences by race and ethnicity. That may be the easiest screen to read it on, by the way, but if this one works for you, that's great too. So whites, 92%, at least one parent was born in the United States. Latino residents, 50-50. Asian American residents, 82% had both parents born abroad. You want to ask why, you want to answer the question why Orange County has gone from red to purple? It's immigration and it's education. It's those two things. And this is the biggie really, of explaining what's going on. All right. Come on. There we go. All right, so how are we all feeling right now in the county? We are pissed. That's how everyone's feeling in the county, but it depends whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. So we ask people, do you think the United States is going in the right direction or the wrong direction? Almost 2/3 say wrong direction. But who is it? It's you. So I want to find those 9% of Democrats who say America's going in the right direction. 62% of Republicans think it's going in the right direction right now. Independents, though, are largely with you. So independents, roughly 2/3 are saying the United States is going in the right or the wrong direction. But let's talk about California. Overall, 57% of residents say California is going in the wrong direction. Who's saying that? Republicans. 83% are saying the state's going in the wrong direction. Only half of Democrats are saying the state's going in the right direction. Independents are saying the state is going in the wrong direction. A little bit less than they felt about the nation. But they're going to be the grumpy group through all of this. They are not happy with anything. All right, let's talk about Orange County. Is Orange County going the right direction or the wrong direction? It's a plurality, not majority, but it is a plurality of people saying we're going in the right direction. That's 41% to 36%. This is Democrats and Republicans, both. It's plurality thinking it's going in the right direction. Independents in, I don't know. 37. You can do math enough to know that doesn't add to 100. There are a lot of people who don't have an answer here. Is it going the right direction, the wrong direction? I don't know. But the takeaway here is that there's a lot of dissatisfaction. A lot of dissatisfaction. That is the one thing that people agree on. They're not happy. But it's for different reasons, and it's different groups with different reasons. So when we try to think about what's going to motivate people to vote, and then you'll see this in a minute about who's excited about coming out to vote in June versus November, which one of these, the state, the nation, or the county animates people will determine who's coming out to vote. All right, so this is one thing that will not surprise you at all. Donald Trump. Not very popular among Democrats. Again, I want to know who those 5% who like Donald Trump. But you remember the numbers we saw about how people are dissatisfied with the direction of the United States? It's fairly similar numbers. So 62% here not happy. How they feel, don't like Trump's performance. Republicans largely like his performance. 84%. Independents. 70% are not satisfied with his performance. So in Orange County, bad news for Trump. He's got a 35% approval rating. By the way, this was in late April. These numbers are better for Trump than the nation as a whole. But they would undoubtedly be worse today, given everything that's happened since we polled. All right, it's not just that Trump is seen one way or another by Democrats or Republicans. It's also important to understand how he's seen by different racial groups. So even whites, who I told you before, lean much more Republican than Democrat, slight majority of them are not satisfied with Donald Trump's performance as president. Latinos, he's hugely unpopular with them, and you would imagine so between both the economy and ISIS activities. And Asian American residents here in Orange County largely are also not satisfied with Trump. But to me, the big takeaway here is even among white voters, who we know from most prior slides are much more likely to be Republican than anything, are split on Donald Trump's performance. Also, large age differences. All right, let's see how well you can all synthesize material. What demographic in this county likes Donald Trump? Old people! Which of course is not you. That is the only group up here. That is the only group that is more likely to think well of him than not as well of him. So just to give you a little sense of this, Gen Zers, these are, depending on who you are, either your grandchildren or your children, Gen Z, almost 80%, 80% are dissatisfied with Donald Trump. Over here in the 65 or older category, only 47% are dissatisfied with Donald Trump. It's an age function. The older you get, the more likely you are going to be a little bit satisfied with Trump. Now you would think, wow, this should be a complete wipeout then for Democrats. And the reason this never ends up being that way is because this group always votes, and this group doesn't vote as often. So, and I hate to be the one to put a mirror to you all, but this group doesn't look like it's this group over here. So, you're going to have to find ways to get your children and grandchildren to go out and vote. All right. This is where half full, half empty. I don't want you walking away saying, no, everybody's so happy with Democrats. Our governor has, he's under, it's what we call underwater. So 55% of residents in Orange County are dissatisfied with his performance. That is primarily Republicans over there at 87%. I actually do want to know who this 11% is of Republicans who think that Newsom's doing well. Democrats are in favor of Newsom. Those are not numbers. If you flip those are not the kind of numbers Democrats felt about Trump in terms of how much they disliked him. Over here, independents, 57% are not satisfied with Newsom's performance. But that number is substantially lower than how they feel about Trump. So that remember, about 70% of them were not happy with Trump, 57% of them are not happy with Newsom. So it's not like the top of the ticket on the Democratic side in the state, or prior to top of the ticket, is doing that well among our fellow residents. Okay, this is going to be a good news, bad news story. So we're going to start with the good news part. And I say good news, bad news, this is for you all. Democrats lead on what's called the generic congressional ballot. And the generic congressional ballot is, we say to people, because we're polling across multiple congressional districts here in Orange County, we say, when you go to vote for Congress, are you more likely to vote for the Democratic candidate or the Republican candidate? And overall, Democrats are enjoying a 13% advantage on that. That's big. That's a really big number. So 47% of residents are saying Democrats, 34% are saying Republicans, the rest are undecided. Once again, we are seeing the racial differences. So white voters, 47% Republican, 40% Democrat. Latino voters, 52% to 24% Democrat to Republican. That is huge. And remember when I told you before that Latino voters they're moving their political identity from Democrat to non-NPD? At least right now, that is not showing up in how they plan to vote, because they are still likely to vote Democratic. Asian voters as well, 55% generic Democrat, 27% generic Republican. Age differences, it's the same thing we saw before. Young people, that's 18 to 29, 6 out of 10 are going to go Democratic, 2 out of 10 Republicans. When we come over to, actually, I was about to say that's my demographic, but I'm actually over with you in this demographic these days. The demographic I used to be in is where the movement starts going to Republican. That's 46 to 61-year-olds. When you were in 62 and above, 50% Republican. So, again, a lot of the story in this county is changing over time of age. This is the other shoe. So, if people are going to vote in the congressional races, they're more likely to vote for Democrats. But for the primary race in June, Republicans are more motivated to vote than are Democrats. So we asked people, how likely are you to vote in the primary? And so what you're seeing, the solid numbers, is people are saying, I'm absolutely certain to vote. The hatched ones are people who say, I'm very likely to vote. The next group would be yeah, I'm probably going to vote. People who say they're probably going to vote don't vote. And that's just one thing you need to know when your friends tell you, yeah, I'm probably going to vote, they're not going to vote. Unless you drag them to come vote with you. So what we're seeing here is that Republicans are much more likely than Democrats, that's about 8%, to vote absolutely certain to vote. If you add these numbers together, it's still much more likely, much more. It's enough to swing an election if this happened to be true. Now, if I am not showing you the slide, but we have another slide about how likely are you to vote in November? Democrats are more likely to vote in November than Republicans. Okay, so this is a really interesting question. Republicans tell us they're more likely to vote in June. Democrats tell us they're more likely to vote in November. Why is that? Okay? Remember what I said to you before when I showed you those numbers about are you happy with the state or are you happy with the federal government? June, in people's mind, is animating the state. That's the thing they're thinking about. What's the status of the state? And who are the candidates? I hate to tell you, but across the board, Democrats are just not as happy with their candidates for governor as Republicans are. Republicans either love Bianco because he's MAGA, or they like Hilton because they think maybe they have a chance to win. Democrats, we've been polling for a while. Democrats are not excited about the candidates they have running for government. They'll vote, but they're not jumping up and down to vote. Moreover, if it's the June primary, it's about the state. And that's where Republicans who are really upset with the direction of the state want to come out and vote. When it's November, that's federal election season. That's Donald Trump, that's the Republican majority in Congress, and that's when Democrats want to come out and stick it to him. And they're likely to come out and vote. And they don't care who their candidates are, because the only thing they're looking at is Donald Trump and a Republican majority in Congress, and they are going to come out and vote. So that's the challenge that in many ways you are facing as you're coming up across on the primary. All right, I have a bunch of other slides. I'm only going to show you two more, where it's about immigration. What you're looking at here is a question we ask people, do you approve of Donald Trump's record on immigration? Now you're seeing three different kinds of answers here. On the far left, you're seeing the question about his overall performance as president. So that is 62% of residents saying they are not satisfied. The next question is, overall, how do you feel about his performance on immigration? 62% again say they're not satisfied. So that's a remarkable number right there. It is the exact same number as the general dissatisfaction with Trump. So he's not getting any benefit or hindrance on immigration. The next question over is, do you approve of his policies on the U.S.-Mexico border? He's still not doing well there. That's 55% who don't approve. But 55 versus 62, that is better for him. What this tells us is, if he had come in and focused only on the things he said he was going to do on immigration, closing the border and dealing with violent criminals, and we have lots of other polling on this, those numbers would be positive for him. The fact that they have overreached in many ways has drawn support down, which should make Democrats feel optimistic on the issue of immigration, except for this slide. So this is the question, and it's a hard slide to read, I'll explain it to you. we're asking people, which party do you think does a better job on immigration? Democrats, Republicans, or there's really no difference between the two parties. Yellow is overall residents. So overall, 34% of Orange County residents think Democrats do a better job on immigration. 32% say Republicans do a better job. 24% say, there's no difference. Now, if Trump is doing so poorly on immigration, 62% think he's doing a poor job on immigration, you would expect that these numbers would be a whole lot higher than these numbers. And they're not. And what that tells us is voters are still holding on to images they have of the two parties of who's tougher or better on immigration versus the other. That's the bad news for you. The good news for you is this is no longer an issue that is going to be hit over the heads of Democratic candidates. Immigration in 2024 was a net loser argument for Democrats. It is not now. It's a wash. But the challenge here is to wash for Democrats as a whole, whereas Trump is doing worse on this issue. He's actually doing as badly on this issue as he is on anything else. The other thing to understand here is, it's just interesting to see, is the differences in how different racial and ethnic groups see this. So, shocker, whites are more likely to say Republicans are doing a better job on immigration. But what's really interesting is Asian Americans, by 43%, say Democrats are the ones who are doing a better job. That's 43%, 28% for Republicans, 22% doesn't make a difference. Those are unusual and new numbers. All right, we'll leave you with one fun question that we asked. And by the way, all of this is available online. I know some of you have been taking pictures. All you have to do is Google UCI OC poll. Takes you right to our website. We have all of this information there for you. Lots more that you can look at. That is how you can get in touch with me if I don't answer your questions later. But just for fun, and actually at the request of the chairman of the Republican Party in Orange County, we ran this question, which is we asked people, do you have a positive view of capitalism? Do you have a positive view of socialism? And here's what's really interesting. So overall in Orange County, 54% of our fellow residents have a positive view of capitalism. That's just barely the majority of people who have a positive view of capitalism. 35% of the county, that's a third of us, have a positive view of socialism. So that in and of itself is interesting, because 20 years ago, that 54% would have been 85%, and the socialism at 35 would have been 7%. So that's a change, that's a statement, I think, that where the American economy is going. But look at the generational differences. So over here, and those who are over 65 and perhaps have benefited from Prop 13, which actually means socialist policy anyhow. 73% of residents have a positive view of capitalism. Only 25% have a positive view of socialism. When you get over Gen Z, this is under 30, 42% have a positive view of socialism. Only 35% have a positive view of capitalism. Millennials, half and half. Now, I ran this question because I wanted to show that we are nonpartisan, we ask all kinds of questions. And it's, it's one of these cute little questions that reporters love reporting on these results. But there's a larger truth behind this that should worry all of us, and it's a truth that I think you all get in your gut if you have a kid or you deal as I do with young people every day. And that is that you are under a certain age, you have a real worry about whether you are going to be able to do as well as the previous generation. And I'm going to leave you with this one story and then we'll take questions. So I taught a class this past fall on California's future. Actually, Josh Newman taught the class alongside me. And about 30 way through the class, I asked students, how many of you believe in the promise of the American dream? I had 40 students in this class, and at UC Irvine, we have a lot of students who are with their families to go to college. In my school in particular, half of the students, the first in their families to go to college. Half of them, you heard Supervisor Foley talk about Pell Grants before. Half of my students are used to be on Pell Grants until the Trump administration took those away. About 2/3 of them are non-elected. All right, so I asked 40 of them, do you believe in the promise of the American dream? 5 believed in the promise of the American dream. 5. Now, you may think I'm in the education business. I'm in the hope business. I have to give them hope that what we're training them for is going to prepare them for a world where they will succeed. And what they're telling me is there were 3 things that worry them. One is that they thought America used to welcome them and their families, and they're beginning to wonder whether that is still the case. But the other 2 things are reflected up here. Second, they said they thought the system was rigged these days. And I said, what do you mean that system is rigged? And they said, powerful people escape consequence. They are not held to account. But the other thing is, I am not going to be able to afford a house, if at all, and if I'm lucky, maybe in my 40s, and it won't be here in Orange County. It'll be in the Inland Empire or somewhere else where I was not raised and I don't want to live. And so when they are telling you, only 1 in 3 of them believe in capitalism, and this is a capitalist economy, that is cause, and that's cause for worry. So I'm not going to leave you completely on a downer because they are still in college. They did not drop out having not believed in the American dream. At some level, they actually do believe that things will open up for them. And that's why they're there. Why am I here? The reason I'm here is because our school, the School of Social Ecology, believes very much in translating research to practice in the communities. We don't do this for entertainment. We do this to educate people who are going to be able to make change based on this. I come and talk to civic groups, I talk to political groups. I'm still waiting for Republicans to invite me to come talk to them about this. And if I'm being filmed, I would be delighted to speak to any Republican groups about this, because you as taxpayers in the state of California are paying some of my salary. Not all of it, you are not paying all of it. You should be paying all of it, but you're not, because we're not funding higher education to the level we should. You are paying some of this. And our job is to be giving you information that you can use to be more active citizens. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I know politicians always speak for long. No one speaks longer than professors. I think there may be time for a question or 2.
We'll have 3 questions, and if people will line up here, and please ask questions only, no narratives.
I'm going to stick around later, so if anyone wants to come up and argue with me, which I actually had at one of these events, someone came up and argued that, how dare I report certain data? I'm happy to talk to anybody, or tell me. Yes.
Okay, first question. You mentioned at the beginning that it's hard to poll nowadays. If people are resistant to poll and things like that. Yet, you say that the margin of error of your polls is 3%. How do you kind of reconcile that? How confident are you that your polling numbers are good and representative?
So how can I be confident? Because what we end up doing is on some of the known statistics, we end up doing what's called weighting, so that we normalize it to what we already know about the county. So we know, this is going to be Statistics 101, which is going to bore most of you. So let me do this really quickly. When you poll people, it's a random sample of folks. It's not like, oh, I'm only polling this group of Democrats or only this group of Republicans. What you want to make sure is that that random group of people isn't artificially weighted just by who you happen to poll to certain things that would skew. So for example, one of the reasons in 2016 that polling was off is Republicans systematically were not answering the phones. And so pollsters underestimated the Republican vote. We account for that because we know there are certain known statistics in the county. The Census Bureau has demographic information, has age information. We are able to take that, weight our sample. The other thing we do is we always check this against what ends up happening on election day to see if we have accounted for things properly. So the short answer is this is about as good you're going to find of anything. We are funded by the Haynes Foundation, actually out of Los Angeles, to do this right now. That funding, by the way, goes away in another year and a half, so if any of you wants to put your name on the poll, I have an opportunity for you. My point in all of this is the age standard of polling that is done in America, and the other most important thing is we do not have a thumb that we put on the scale. A lot of the polling you see that comes up on Fox News is done by pollsters that have a thumb on the scale.
Okay, I'm going back to the communism versus capitalism or socialism.
No. This is socialism. But the interesting thing is, okay, hold on, this is actually going to be good. Because here's what we didn't do. We didn't ask voters what socialism means to you. Because if I do focus groups with people, that's just like a group of 5 or 10 people, and ask someone what's socialism, I get 5 different answers. So what's really interesting is using the definition you have of socialism and capitalism. This is how people respond. Anyhow, that's not what you asked.
We'll try it again. Capitalism versus socialism. Part of this may be that the definition of capitalism hasn't changed, but the implementation has. Up to about the 70s or so, it's been stakeholder capitalism. Then there's a changeover to shareholder capitalism after that. Have you taken into account that people's like or dislike of capitalism is based on how they were raised on whatever capitalism was implemented at that time?
So how do we know? Because it's the same thing, I didn't ask people what their definition of capitalism was or socialism, but every time I present this now, what I want to end up doing is I want one of our polls to be on this alone and get at what everyone thinks capitalism means or socialism means, because we know that in the political world, one of the greatest insults you can hurl at someone, or at least you used to be able to, was you're a socialist. And the question now is, when people hear that, what does it mean? Are they thinking China? Are they thinking Sweden? Are they thinking New York City? What are they thinking? I'm not actually, I know that sounds funny, I'm not making a joke though. Because we don't know what people are thinking of. And when we say capitalism, are we thinking Elon Musk? Are we thinking IBM? Are we thinking of the entrepreneur that you know lives next door who's trying to do a startup? So it can mean different things to people.
Do you know why a lot of people don't vote?
Do I know why which people?
Why there are people who don't vote? What would make someone not vote?
There are any number of reasons that would make people not vote. From the talks in everybody's house, all I ever see is politicians yelling at me and stealing. That would be one thing. 2, biggie these days is disillusionment. 3 is the notion of, oh, come on. How many races have you ever seen that have come down to 1 vote? Why does my vote matter? And then the last thing that we don't talk about a lot is there are a number of people who cannot afford to take a day off and go vote. Now, California has solved that by making mail-in voting. There are a lot of other states that don't have that, and there are a whole group of people who just can't take the time because it takes forever to get to work, work goes long, and they need the hourly wage. So there are all kinds of reasons people don't vote. I am positive I've taken more than my fair share of time.
We are
As
so
I said, I will be
thankful.
happy to talk to you all.
Okay, let's hear it up for Dr. Gold. Thank you very, very much. Okay, just a couple more.
Announcements. I'm going to start with Nancy from the comms team. Where are you, Nancy? Yes, and remind me again what you are going to write an article for our newspaper.
On our social media, we just want maybe 5 people who can talk about whether they voted and why or why not.
Okay, we need 5 people for our social media who can tell that yes, I voted, and no, yes, you voted, no, you didn't, and why or why not, which then kind of folds into some results I'll give you in just a minute on a poll that many of you did a couple weeks on our I think it was a couple weeks on our newsletter. But before, I wanted to remind you about one other event, and that is on our agenda here for the voter registration that's going to be happening. That's one important thing. The second thing is going to be at Mission Viejo Pride Day at Saddleback College, June 13th, and Barbara Castillo is organizing that. So it's about voter reg and about the Pride event as well. So I think I did that. And then I had one more thing about the election, right? Okay, so our poll amongst us, it was over 100 and some folks who responded. A few of you are in favor of Mahan. A few more of you are still undecided. And 14.5% of you at this time were for Steyer. 30.9% of you were for Porter. And 47.3% of you were for Becerra. Now, before we break, one last thing. I want you to go look at the latest polls. And there's all this hype. Any of you that have any connection with social media, it's absolutely nuts how they are scaring us that we are going to get locked out. If you look at the results and you look where Bianco is today, there is no way that it can be Hilton and Bianco. No, I am not a statistician like our Dr. Gould is. So, who do you want to be your Democratic representative in November? Stop the hype, look in your head, look in your heart, and you decide, not what this stuff over here that we have no proof of, that they're just telling you. And you decide who you want to vote, and maybe, who knows, maybe we can get 2 Dems at the top, but we have to vote accordingly, not because I'm afraid of this, not because I'm afraid of that. Go check out Bianco, and he is like, we're gonna mop the floor with him. Come on, let's be real, right? Okay, so that's it. Get out there and vote. Get your friends to vote. And thank you, Dr. Gould, and thank you, Katrina, for coming, and thank all of you. And we will see you next month with the results will be in. And please come and talk to Nancy. 5 people, please. Have you voted? Have you not? Let's talk. Oh, look at, yeah, they're coming. Good, good, good. Thank you.